हरिवंश राय बच्चन ब्यूटिफुली रोट, लहरों से डरकर नौका पार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। नन्ही चींटी जब दाना लेकर चलती है, चढ़ती दीवारों पर 100 बार फिसलती है। मन का विश्वास रगों में साहस भरता है, चढ़कर गिरना, गिरकर चढ़ना ना अखरता है। अंततः उसकी मेहनत बेकार नहीं होती, कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। As we begin today's session, let us remind ourselves that success doesn't come in a day. It comes with effort, failure, learning, and persistence. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the induction program of batch 2025-27. I, student manager Ritik Rajput from Balaji Institute of Technology and Management,
I, student manager Diksha Dhadish from Balaji Institute of Technology and Management,
will
will
be
be the
the masters
masters
of
of
the
the ceremony
ceremony
for
for
today's
today's
session.
session.
Distinguished guests, respected dignitaries on the dais, dignitaries of the dais, esteemed faculty members, and dear students, I welcome you all to this very exciting Ignite Spark the Potential guest lecture series at Sri Balaji University, Pune. Today, we have the honor of hosting Ms. Pooja Gawas ma'am, Enterprise Sales Health South at Loop Health, who will be sharing her valuable insights here with us. We are thankful to you, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time to share your thoughts with students. On behalf of Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, directors, faculty members, staff, I would like to invite my fellow student manager, Aditi Deshpande and Arman Pathak, to present a bouquet to Ms. Pooja Gawas ma'am as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you, Aditi and Arman. To our respective guests, I may submit in all humility that Sri Balaji University Pune is proud of its four constituent management institutes, which are Balaji Institute of Modern Management (BIMM), Balaji Institute of Technology and Management (BITM), Balaji Institute of International Businesses (BIIB), and Balaji Institute of Management and Human Resource Development (BIMHRD). Additionally, Sri Balaji University encompasses the School of Commerce and Management, School of Computer Sciences, School of Humanities and Social Science, School of Liberal Arts, School of Defense and Strategic Studies, Balaji School of Law, School of Actuarial Sciences, Balaji School of Media Communication and Journalism, Balaji School of Online and Digital Learning, and Balaji School of Sports Science. We also offer program in MA Chinese Studies and MA in National Security. Beyond this, we also have the Balaji Law College at undergraduate and graduate levels, the Balaji College of Arts, Commerce, Science, and Balaji Junior College of Arts, Commerce, and Science. These institutes are renowned for their contribution to management education and have been ranked among the top in India.
According to the Times B School Ranking Survey 2025, Sri Balaji University Pune is ranked number 10 in the top 100 B schools in country. The university has secured the second position in top 36 private universities in India and has been ranked 4 in the top 20 B schools in Western India. Also, the university is ranked number 12 in the top 50 as per their placements. We would also like to say that we welcome more than 300 companies for the campus placements.
At SBUP, the students are empowered with class leading management education and deep corporate exposure. As learners, we are also taught the core values of discipline, dedication, determination, pioneered by none other than our founder chancellor, the late Professor Bala Colonel A. Subramaniam sir, whose revolutionary pedagogy forms the DNA of SBUP. We at SBUP, along with our classroom sessions, interactive corporate visits, and a plethora of renowned visiting faculties, also participate in the complete range of extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Such exposures to learners ensures that the students evolve in a disciplined, well-rounded, and focus-driven individual who are well equipped to contribute to the field of their choice.
We have had the honor of connecting with more than 300 corporate titans as a part of our induction program.
Institute of Technology and Management. And I am elated to introduce today's guest speaker, Miss Pooja Gawas, ma'am. Ma'am is a second sales and operations leader with over 16 years of rich experience across the luxury hospitality and healthcare sectors. Currently serving as the enterprise sales head South at Loop Health. Ma'am has previously held senior leadership roles at some of India's most iconic brands, including Conrad Pune, JW Marriott, Inder Marriott, and Taj Lands End. Ma'am is an MBA in hospitality management from the prestigious Cesar Ritz College, Switzerland, where she was awarded where she was awarded Eta Sigma Delta membership for academic merit. Her illustrious career is marked by her ability to scale revenue, lead high performing teams, manage key accounts, and deliver exceptional client experiences, whether in boardroom or on a banquet hall or on floor. Known for her people first leadership style, her work bridges strategic business development with deep customer insights. She has orchestrated some of the highest revenue days in the history of properties she led, while also building strong client engagement strategies like Loop's flagship event Thrive. Apart from her professional achievements, Ma'am is also trained in Bharatnatyam, fluent in German and English, and passionate about language, arts, and culture. Please join me in warmly welcoming Miss Pooja Gawas, ma'am, as she shares her insight and experiences with us today. Welcome, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. You've had a long day. How is everyone feeling? Still a lot of energy. I'm impressed. Can we have one more good evening with some more energy? Good evening, everyone. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, the esteemed faculty. Thank you so much for giving your precious time and listening to me. Uh, I think you've heard a little bit of introduction about me. But I'd love to, while I take you through today's session, I don't want it to be a lecture. I would love for it to be interactive. So, as we go about, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, please feel free to stop me. I will pause at regular intervals to ensure that everybody's there with me. And yes, I think let's begin the session. Do we all know what the topic for today is? Amazing. Great. Thank you so much. Um, Okay, there's one line below on the slide. Does that scare anybody? You're 10 days old. That's what you said, right, ma'am? 10 days old, fresh in MBA college. I don't want to scare you, but I want to prepare you that, and I'm sure your professors tell you this, that the real world outside is very different, right? While you will build your academic career here, and a strong one at that, given the legacy of this institution. We'd love for through the year for you to think about what you want to do next, because that is a very, very important step in your career, right? Hence, the topic today startup versus corporations. And I feel a little envious of all of you because when I was starting my career, there was no startups, there was no options, there were very limited career choices that we had. But make the most of it, make the most use of it. I'm going to tell you what they don't tell you today. Okay. Great. So my apologies. I'm just going to take you through the agenda. It'll come up on in a minute on the screen. The agenda for today, in terms of the topic, is very broad, right? But what we'll talk about is the three C's of startup versus corporations: culture, chaos, and career growth. I know the third must sound the most attractive to you, but that actually depends on the first two as well. Okay. In the meanwhile, while the slide comes up, I'd love to understand or hear your thoughts on what is a startup and what is a corporation. Let's start with corporation. Do we know anybody in the audience wants to answer? What is a corporation? What's a company? What's a MNC? Anything? Anybody from this side, maybe? I will pick people if you don't answer. Anyone? There are no wrong answers. I think you have an answer. Go ahead. Yes. Great. What is your name, ma'am? Sir? Sarthak. Big hand for Sarthak, please. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very aptly put. Startup is a team who comes together for a common objective and starts things, right? That's why startups. And enterprises are well established organizations, and you possibly are going to get job offers from both, or maybe some of you could be founders yourselves. That's also a possibility, right? So this image that you see on the screen, that's where I was at that crossroad 3 years back. I had spent about 14 years in large corporations across hospitality brands. Started with the Taj, went on to Marriott, went on to Hilton. And I'll give you a little bit of backstory, right? My father was with the Tata Motors for 33 long years. So all I heard at home, even in my childhood, what was Tata culture. This is not how the way Tatas do it. This is the way Tata do it. Because Tata is a huge brand name in India, right? Globally as well, but it was born in India, hence it's a huge brand name. It carries its own culture. That culture got ingrained in all of us at home too. My mother used to speak about Tata brands. My sister used to speak about Tata brands. And eventually, once I decided what to do, I did go ahead and join a Tata brand at the beginning of my career, right? That's what culture or brand recall means. Tata brand joins families. Tata has huge impact on families. They do a lot of things internally as well for employees as well as their families. That's the kind of culture they build. A startup may not have that much of a culture because they're new, right? You're building culture, you're building the system itself. Great. Can we? It's an image. I hope it's an interesting image to you. I'd love anybody from the middle row to tell me what this image means to you. Just one line. Yes, please go ahead. Okay, great, great. Thank you so much, Gaurav. Somebody else also raised their hand. Okay, great. What is your name? Devashish, Gaurav. Big hand for both of them, please. Yes, exactly. So startup is something that you start. Hence, you can build your own culture. It's a little more informal. Corporations are already established, very, very formal. You have to be in a certain way, behave in a certain way, right? I was telling about my crossroads 3 years ago. I built hotels processes from scratch, a lot of things, and I love doing that, right? When I joined the Taj, I wanted to grow in the same segment. So when I joined sales and marketing, and I'm a sales and marketing grad, like many of you joined, I think there are various streams here, but I'm a sales and marketing graduate. When I was learning there in my first job, it was very clear that I had a career path. I will grow from a sales executive to assistant sales manager to sales manager, director, so on and so forth, but in sales and marketing. Because the entire establishment itself was so large that every department took care of itself. Did I ever think of going from sales and marketing to operations? Maybe not, right? Uh, there was a straight career path, and I knew I had to follow that. And I did. I followed that for 14, 15 long years, where then eventually I was leading sales and marketing and revenue for Conrad Hilton. Having said that, then came COVID, right? We all remember COVID, some unfortunate memories, some not so happy memories. But I think a lot changed for all of us. What changed for me is that I got the time to think, what should I do differently? What should I do next? I actually had the time to pick up my head and look at the world around, where it had evolved so much when I didn't even realize. While I was busy in hotels following that one career path, there were multiple career paths that opened for everybody around me. And I thought, okay, why can't I actually take a risk and think about something else, learn something new? I'm sure all of you are not fans of complacency, given that you're here today. You like learning. I was also not a fan of complacency, and I wanted to do something different. A lot of startups were on the rise at that time. Can anybody take a guess, or if anybody has an informed number on how many startups in India, roughly? How many startups in India today? There are no wrong answers again, like I said. Yes. Close, close. Anybody else? Two more people can guess. Three right answers. Big hand for you guys. So we have 1.6 lakh startups today versus 2016 when there were under 500 startups only. Okay. However, if you compare this to the number of corporations in India, that's 28 lakhs. That's the difference today. But the startup ecosystem in India is thriving. Government of India has various support programs to kind of help them grow. And by 2030, we're expecting to double this number to 240 or 250. Okay. Let me talk to you about culture. Why I picked this topic as this first is because all of us have culture at home as well, right? Our parents teach us from the beginning, how do you behave, how do you sit, how do you stand, how do you talk. You pick up a lot of it in school, you pick up a lot of it in college, and then you go on to corporations which have their own culture. So companies, of course, have their own culture, but there is a stark difference between cultures of both. First, of course, the major difference is that a culture within a corporation is well established versus a culture with a startup is something that is being established. This is a definition that Edgar Schein, a very famous organizational psychologist, has of culture. He says organizational culture is the shared way people think, feel, and act at work. It is built over time through common experiences and becomes the way things are done in the company, right? Even your institution today has a culture. The way all of you were very disciplined in a disciplined manner seated when we all came in, right? The way you greet your guest lecturers, the way you greet your professors, this is all culture. The second one is quite interesting though. This is my favorite. Culture is what people do when no one is looking. This is a very, very famous line by Howard Stevenson, a Harvard Business School professor emeritus. Now, this, I think, growing up also, we all had this. When our parents are not looking, how do you behave? This becomes part of life for you. When you go into a company, when you start working, how is the company's culture and how do you adapt to it becomes the way you function at work, right? So just to give you a little bit of brief on the differences in the culture of both. Anybody in the audience, maybe from your parents, has picked up what a particular culture trait of a company? Like I know that Tatas take care of employees and their families. Anybody else would like to share? The esteemed faculty is also willing, if you're willing to give answers, happy to hear from you as well. Reliance, anybody's parents in Reliance or has heard about how Reliance is? HUL, a lot of the large names, right? Okay, let's move ahead. So corporate will have defined hierarchical structure. Like I told you that I was joined as a sales executive and I had a career path which was already defined for me. So this is already defined by somebody who's established this many, many years ago because it's a older establishment. Okay. There are defined roles in SOPs, which means that if I'm doing sales, I need not do operations or need not do IT or need not do something else because there is somebody for that job as well. When you all come together, that's when a group effort or group outcome is achieved. There is always formal training and orientation. So if you join a Reliance company, they will teach you the ways of Reliance. They will teach you, what are your benefits. They will teach you. They'll have an induction program in depth to kind of get you accustomed to their culture, and then you are put on the job. And they also always have strong brand legacies. How many of you remember that while growing up, at least I remember, I know I'm much older than you, but if you say chocolate at home, a Cadbury would come home. Yeah. If you say toothpaste, it was always Colgate. It was never that toothpaste khatam ho gaya, it was that Colgate khatam ho gaya. Right? That's the kind of brand legacy that these brands have formed because these are all 50, 100, 150-year-old organizations. Versus what happens in a startup is you pretty much have a very, very informal structure, right? Basic example I'll give you. You've seen people in hotels, right? Who hoteliers who work, they're always informals, always well dressed, well spoken. It's not like that in a startup. And that's what the first image related to. You can actually go to startup in sneakers and jeans, right? That's a very small example to show that they want you to be comfortable at work, but get the job done. The outcome has to be that the job has to be done, right? You always have direct access to founders. So just to give you in relation to what I was talking about, I spent 3.5 years with the Tatas. I met Mr. Tata once for 2 minutes. It was an honor for me. It was definitely an honor, but that's the only time I could meet him. In today's my company called Loop Health, I have direct access to the founders. In Zomato, you have direct access to Dipinder Goyal. Is that a familiar name, Dipinder Goyal? Awesome. Who's the founder of Swiggy? We'll come to that. I have an answer to that also. In startups, speed always overcomes perfection because they're fast paced, they're fast growing. You have to get things done quickly. You may not necessarily do it well, but as long as the goal is achieved, that's it. And you always have an expectation of wearing multiple hats, right? So there are no defined roles for people. You pretty much will be doing everything. If I have to give you my example as enterprise head at Loop Health today, not only am I negotiating with customers, but I'm also servicing them. I'm also talking to insurance companies as partners. I'm also handling wellness for them. There's a lot of different things to do. So the expectation always remains because startups are lean teams. I think you mentioned that startups have lesser number of people working. They're always lean teams. I'm sure everybody knows this brand. I don't think you're able to see this, the organization structure. Are you able to read it? Okay, can you count the number of people identified there? Awesome. And do we know who the chief operating officer, executive officer, sorry, of Apple is? Tim Cook. So he's right there on the second row, right? And there are at least 14 people who are reporting to him, 15 including the chief operating officer. How many employees does Apple have? Any wild guess? 1,64,000 employees. So can you imagine 1,64,000 employees reporting to the people that you see there, which means 30,000 under each head. 30,000 people. Does Tim Cook have the time to meet everybody? I'm sure he'd want to, but unfortunately not, right? I'm just trying to, yeah, there. So this is a 49-year-old company, which means well established. They're obviously public. They have 164,000 employees currently working for Apple as of 2024 end, and they have 391 billion in revenue, right? That's the scale at which they operate. This is what a large corporation is. Now you have to decide when you graduate, what would you like? Would you like to be part of this, or would you like to be some part of something more, I would say, innovative, something more new, and you want to form something new? Let me tell you how this looks for a startup. What brand is this? So Sriharsha Majeti is the founder of Swiggy. He has 7 people under him. Okay. This brand was founded in 2014. They have 5,400 employees. That's it, 5,400, 2014, which means just about 11 years old now. But you have direct access to the founders. All of the people who've grown here that you see have donned multiple hats. They've done whatever it takes to keep the company alive when they need to do it. Just trying to pull up the numbers here, there. And they have 141 billion, 1.41 billion, sorry, billion dollar revenue. So much, much smaller than Apple, right? Apple was 391. This is 1.41. Apple was 164,000 employees, and this is 5,400 employees. That's the structural differences. That's what I wanted to make you understand in what a startup and a corporate is. I'm going to pause here for some questions or any thoughts. I'd love to hear. Ma'am, are they always so quiet? Well behaved. Great. So I'm assuming everybody's understood. Yes, yes, please. The one myth. Um, I don't think it's a myth, but I think everybody wants it. Work-life balance. It's not there in startup. It's not there because you have to really believe in the vision. You have to really believe in. It's not a 9 to 6 job. Let me just say that, right? In a corporate, you might just shut your laptop and come home at 6 o'clock. You can't do that in a startup. And because your founder is also doing it, right? The person who started the company also is doing it. So it's practically like you are doing this for your own company. That's the kind of ownership you need to have. Thank you for that question. So the one key takeaway from the first part of this session was that you need to start defining your culture while you are still studying, while you're completing your MBA, because very soon, and time flies, before you know it, it's going to be time for you to decide whether you want to join A company, B company from the lot of multiple um, offers that you're going to get. Now, just for a summary, I've put on the screen what your culture would mean if you're going to start up, which means fast paced, innovative, ownership heavy, but very, very high pressure. Does anybody know why there's high pressure in startups? High risk. Great. What else? To achieve more in less time. Great. There's one more very important. Multiple jobs to achieve break even. That's a little further away, but there's still one more thing. Very nice, very close. So, what is your name? Sorry, Meenal. Thank you so much, Meenal. Um, Startups depend on funding, right? You start a company with your own funding, and then you seek funding from your friends, family, then you seek funding from venture capitalists or private equity firms, and then finally you go public, right? So there's huge pressure to kind of ensure that the value for that money is there, which means more revenue. You want to hit break even, of course. Sure, I think somebody there said break even, but of course definitely you want to hit break even, but that doesn't happen very quickly. So at least when you're driving revenue, you are answerable to people who are on the board, who are your investors. Hence there's absolutely high pressure, right? So to assess your comparison in just two words, it has to be speed versus stability. What are you looking at now? Am I saying that corporates do not have speed? No, I'm just telling you a comparison of both. That speed is much, much faster, like at least 10x faster in a startup. And there's definitely stability as well, but as long as you perform. Corporates, you have great stability. The Tata culture has a lot of stability, right? But startups, you will only have stability if you perform. So if you're a high performer, if you like challenges, um, in corporates, if you want to learn a lot more, maybe you can go to a corporate. But just, I would like you to take these two things away from this session, right? Let's move on to the next topic. Chaos. It's a slightly, I would say, negative word, but it's not negative actually. It's just about the truth, or the truth behind what happens in these companies, right? And I don't mean this in a negative way. I'm trying to tell you that there is chaos everywhere, but it can be managed. And how these two, corporates and startups, manage them differently. We'll talk about a few examples as well, so I'll ensure that you understand. But in a corporate, the processes are extremely slow, right? Which means that you have a level of different levels of approval to change processes for any kind of decision making. There's a lot of bureaucracy. Unfortunately, there could be internal politics as well. I think I don't need to hide this, but in all corporates and companies, there is politics prevails. And there's multi-layered reporting with sales pressure. When you have sales pressure, but you don't have multi-level reporting, you're able to take your own decisions. Here you have multi-level reporting as well as sales pressure. So it becomes a more structured way to work, but not necessarily the fastest way to work, right? Now, in a startup, your priorities could be constantly shifting. What I mean by that is, today I start a company, I'm bootstrapped. By bootstrapped, I mean that I'm funding the company. I have my own funds, which is a small amount. Tomorrow, all of you invest in my company. All of you invest 10,000 rupees in my company. I'm answerable to all of you, right? Which means I have to prioritize the kind of relevance or the kind of performance that I have to give in front of you, because I'm promising you something, saying this is what I'm going to bring from the company because you're investing in my company. The month after, I get investment from a lot of people in Pune, which means all of them become my investors and I'm answerable to them. So your priorities are constantly shifting. Your goals could change today versus a month later, right? The job roles are pretty ambiguous. So like I was mentioning earlier, you have to do multiple job roles. If you're sales head, you're not just sales head. You could tomorrow have to go do a customer service meeting or something else as well. And there is limited or absolutely no onboarding, right? So I'll give an example at my company. Not that we don't want to give onboarding, but because we're growing so fast, uh, to give you some statistics, we've grown about 8x in the past 6 years. That's huge, right? 8x. We had somebody join 2 days back, and the second day that he joined, he was already in a customer meeting. There was no onboarding. So he learns on the job. So you pretty much learn on the job in startups. You use your analytical skills. You are not specifically trained for that job. Okay. Do we know these brands? Does I'm not sure if you remember. It's actually a pretty old story. Uh, but IBM used to be the market giant, right? Uh, there was a lot of structured approach that they had. They're a much older company. They have a very structured approach. What happened was when the market started evolving and they started getting competitors slowly thriving in the market, they weren't able to adapt to the speed. Each department went into silos. They were doing their own thing. Consultancy was not talking to facing, customer facing or AI department. Every department was actually trying to do their own thing and own goals. Approvals became much slower. And during the late 1980s, 1990s, we started seeing the downfall of IBM. One of the main important points of that also was this: they started outsourcing parts to their now competitors, Microsoft, Amazon, Intel. And slowly but steadily, these competitors were very, very silently picking up. They lost entire market share to these companies. They did rebuild it, but it's a bit of a it's a lot of work, right? When you built a company to a certain level and then it goes down, to rebuild it. Now this happened because IBM was too structured in their approach. They weren't open to new things. Their resistance to change actually gave them adverse effects. The positive part was that they held their legacy. So IBM is still a brand name. IBM globally is a very, very trusted brand name. But the negative result was that they lost market share to competitors. Uber, which is a much younger startup, this is a 9-year-old company, by the way, founded in 2006. They rapidly expanded before they were even ready. I'm not sure if you remember, but when Uber came in, everybody thought, not sure what Uber is. But then it became a household name. Before they were ready to enter in markets, they've entered. Before they had enough staffing, they've taken a lot of calls. They had a very aggressive culture as well. Their CEO, Travis, has actually had to step down because of the toxicity in culture, right? So he had a very tough approach of saying you come to work, you achieve the job, otherwise you go home without a job. They also had a high risk appetite, but without lack of structure. So the result of that, they did have explosive growth. Like I said, that we all remember Uber because that was the first cab official app that we had in India. But the negative result was a lot of toxicity. The brand name kind of fell in all our eyes. There was a lot of crisis around it. And again, they took time to rebuild it. Now, what do you think? Is chaos good or bad? That's an interesting answer. If you say good, I'll ask you why. Why is it good? So, so you're forced to innovate. Okay, great. Eh, Great. So which means you need to reshuffle and kind of look at your priorities again. Awesome. So in a startup, chaos fuels innovation. That's hunger, right? Chaos is hunger to do something new, to solve a problem that nobody else has solved before. It's driven with a lot of passion, a lot of energy. What it gives you speed, it gives you the sense of ownership. It also builds your grit. Young leaders such as yourself get empowered, right? My founders at Loop Health, and I'll talk about it in a few minutes, they started the company when they were in their 20s. Zepto, does anybody know who the founder of Zepto is? I heard a name somewhere there in the middle. Founder of Zepto, Adit Palija. How old is he? 22. I think now he's 25, 24, 25 or so, right? But that's when he founded the company. It takes grit to even start a company and build it. Today he employs 6,000 people. Now versus a corporate, because you already have processes structured, defined, you have ways and means of doing things because you've seen success while doing that earlier. So why would you want to change? It blocks transformation. So like you saw in the example of IBM, when there was a need for change, you're not able to adapt to it quickly. either not able to adapt or not able to adapt to it quickly, right? Organizational silos, which means each department working on their own, kills collaboration. There's no teamwork anymore, right? The teams are too big. Apple, 32,000 uh, employees per team is huge. For all of them to have one goal and work together, things could get dissipated in a different manner. You know the game Chinese Whispers? Yeah. Imagine 32,000 people. Somebody at the top is saying one thing, but by the time it comes down, escalate, given to the last person, that could mean something else. There's always resistance to change and very, very complex processes. Can corporations not change? I wouldn't say that, but it takes a lot of strength to change, strength and a lot of support internally, right? So again, for you to take away from the session, what I'd love for you to remember is that in startups, chaos is absolute raw energy. Chaos not is not necessarily a bad thing. This actually leads to breakthroughs because you define a problem, you identify how you're going to solve it. Usually in a startup, it's technology backed, right? And you end up doing that. You either are successful as successful as Zomato, Zepto, Loop Health, or maybe you start small. And there are all these founders, it's not their first startup. They failed multiple times before, but they have the grit and determination to rise up again. Corporations, this has happened much before. Now, if you all remember, do you have you seen a picture? Unfortunately, I was not able to pull it up, of how Apple actually started in a garage, right? But that was 50 years back. So somebody who was with the CEO at that time or the founder at that time would have grown to a much larger role today. That's what corporations can give you. Can startup become corporations? Definitely. Zomato's hit their IPO now, as we all know. It used to be a startup. And in corporates, chaos is systemic noise, which means if you're not able to manage it, it can lead to breakdowns. It can definitely be managed, but there's a lot of resistance to change there, right? I'll pause for any questions or thoughts. And I'm going to quickly ask if I'm on time. Yes. Great question, Ray. Thank you so much for that. But if I give you the answer to that, the session will be over. So I'll come to that at the end of it. Career growth, the last and most important part of our session. And Uday, thank you for starting the session with that. Where will my work be more valuable? What do you think? Where will your work be more valuable? I'm sure everybody will have. Wow. No wonder we're going to grow to 2.4 lakh startups by 2030. How many of you want to be founders? That's impressive. Big hand for all of you. Amazing. Startups is the most valuable. Why not corporations? Just out of curiosity. Yes, that's very true. That's a very philosophical thought as well, right? Yeah, right. True. What is your name? Gaurav. So Gaurav says that you can easily be replaced in a corporate. He says that there are multiple. Please have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you, Gaurav. He says that in a corporation there could be multiple people doing one thing, which is true, right? You saw in Apple there are 32,000 employees in one team. Obviously, there could be sub teams in that, but the same work could be done by somebody else. Does that not happen in a startup? Not at the early stage. Eventually, when you grow, obviously that happens. But yes, that is true. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Gaurav. So in a corporate, somebody's already defined what is your career path. Who's defined that? The learning and development team, the career progression team, which is the HR team, probably your reporting manager, right? Uh, you already have somebody at a higher level above you, which is what you will be next, maybe in 1.5, 2 years. So at the Marriott hotels, every 1.5, 2 years, you grow a position. Of course, provided you perform, but that's quite frequent. That's your growth path. And if you're in a company which has a great legacy, you literally don't think about anything else because that's your goal, right? मुझे उसकी तरह बनना है, मेरे मैनेजर की तरह. That's my position. And that's what you keep doing till you reach a very high level. Okay. There are very defined cross-functional leadership programs, which is great. So at the Tatas, there is something called as the Tata Management Training Program, where young graduates like you are taken and trained for 1.5, 2 years, and then you directly become managers in Tata companies. It's a very difficult program to get into, but this is already structured and they have identified you as leaders, right? That's what it means when you essentially get into that program. And it's a very, very strong brand term on your CV. That brand carries a lot of weightage. I think, when I was being introduced, I'm sure the names JW Marriott, Conrad Pune, Taj rang a bell. That's not because of my achievements, that's because of the company. That's because of the kind of weightage that the companies have put on my resume. So that's what you would get in a corporate versus a startup. You will get rapid promotions if your performance is strong. You don't have to wait for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. As long as your performance is strong, the company wants you there. You will get to do new things. You will get to learn. You will get to grow. You will also get early exposure to leadership and strategy. So, like we took Adit's example in Zepto, he was 22 years old when he started the company. You all don't necessarily need to be founders, but even if you're leaders in the company, this happens at a very, very young age. The not so great part is because you're working a lot, and I spoke about work life balance or the lack of it in startups, there's a higher risk of instability or burning out. So that's a problem that all of us are facing. Having said that, uh, it's a call you take for yourself, right? I'm sure we all have different studying styles as well. Somebody crams just before the exam, some of us, like me. Some of you have a very organized structure of learning for the exam, right? You'll be prepared well in advance. So that's actually your personal trait. Any questions here? I'm going to pause because I know this is going to be interesting for you. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you for that question. It's a difficult question. I'm going to think about it. Um, for me, culture is very personal. For me, culture is what I learn at home, and then culture is what I learn in the company. So you define your own culture, like I said. Thank you for joining. Thank you. So whether you relate to a culture of a startup or a corporate is really uh, a question that you have to answer for yourself. And there's one more thought that I have, which I will talk at the end of the session, because like Uday's question, otherwise I will end the session. Thank you. Thanks for that question. We're going to talk about a few examples here. You have to raise your hands if you know this person who is, not talk out, shout out the answer. I don't know who to choose. Okay, that side, far that side, behind the pillar. Did you raise your hand? Yeah? Do you know who this is? You know, now you can shout out the answer. Sundar Pichai. Awesome. Which company does he work for? Google. Do you know how he joined the company or when he joined the company? Okay, I'm going to tell you the answer to that. He joined as a product manager, guys. Right? That's huge growth. That's exponential growth. But did it come at a fast pace to him? No. Did he get it instantly in 4 or 5 years? No. He had to have his patience. He had to uh, embed the culture. To answer your question, embed the culture of Google. He had to do that, right? He had to wait for his promotions. He had to learn how do you function in that corporate. He had to also try and learn from other segments, right? Because when you're CEO, you can't just say I know only product. As you grow, you have to have an interest in the other functionalities as well. So he joined Google in 2004 as a product manager. Do we know what year he became CEO? Can you take a guess? How many years did he take to become CEO? Oh, I've given you the answer. He took 15 years, 15 years plus, in fact. He led different divisions. He led Chrome, Android, he led Google Search. Um, he, I mean, the company also has to have confidence in this person that he's going to lead the entire of my company, right? And he actually had his a lot of 15 years a long time. You have to have a lot of patience to grow in the same company. You'll get tempted by multiple job offers, but he stuck to it. And in 2016, 2015, he became the CEO of Google. He became SVP, then product head, then the CEO of Google, and today the CEO of Alphabet. So that's his journey. That's how that's one of the examples of how a corporate works, right? Any other examples in a large corporate of how people have grown? Anybody? Okay, let me go to startups. I'm sure you'll have a lot more answers then. Sorry? Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So a lot of these leaders also join as management trainees. Imagine fresh out of college, you join a company, you stay there till you become the head of the company. That's the kind of growth a corporate can give you. But yes, you have to have the patience and you have to stock the culture. You have to be the culture, be the person who represents this company. Okay. I'm not sure if you know who these are. They're my three founders, our company's three founders. Amrit Singh, in that order, Amrit Singh, Mayank Kare, he's a Punekar like many of us, and Ryan Singh. Mayank is the CEO, Ryan is the chief operating officer, and Amrit is the chief revenue officer, right? They founded a company called Loop Health in 2018. So, like the details that you see on the screen, how it started was just like all of you, they were batchmates in BITS Pilani. Okay. And they had this very deep interest in healthcare. They had this very deep interest in technology. Um, they co-founded Loop Health, like I told you, when they were in their 20s. For me, I in my 20s, I think I was just finishing my MBA and then thinking of starting my first job. That itself was very scary for me. They've already founded this company. They raised funding from multiple private equity investors, venture capitalists, and they learned as they grew. Did Mayank know how to be a CEO when he founded the company? Do all of you know how to be the founders of a company? Whoever raised their hands. But you're going to learn as you grow, right? That's what a startup would be. The success, sorry, I'm going to go back. The success that they found was uh, we're now a $50 million invested company, which means we're a Series B funded company. We have 450 plus employees across India. We have 5 offices. We have people like me who believed in the company and switched. It was a huge risk when I switched to this company, right? Leaving a Marriott, a Conrad, a Hilton, stable job, and moving to something which was not, which started out of a two-bedroom apartment. That was the office. To today's having multiple offices. There were people, many people like me who joined the company and stayed. I just completed 3 years at this company. That's the kind of growth you can get. I joined actually as an individual contributor, which means somebody who drives revenue for one particular geography. And now I've got the growth as an enterprise sales head. Hopefully, I'll get to do more roles as well. But in a startup, you can keep switching your roles. So, which means you get to learn much more. Mayank and Amrit, in fact, were called out, were featured in the Forbes 30 under 30 list. Right? So, if you have a real life problem to solve, definitely, if you feel passionate about it, definitely startups is the way to go. Is corporate not the way to go then? I wouldn't say that, but it's a much longer journey. Okay, and it's a stable environment. So I'm not taking the decision for you to answer your question, Uday and Sarthak. I'm not taking this decision for you, but I'd love to now go to what kind of learnings we've had in this session. And this is just something that I want to hear from you. Yes, please. Did you raise your hand? Okay. What are the learnings? We're practically almost at the end of the session, and I want to answer Uday's question also. But I want to hear what you learned from today's session. Somebody half raised their hand. Great. So Gaurav, right? You said? Gaurav says that you can go either to a startup or corporate, but you decide. I'm just summing it up for you, but you decide what is best for you, right? Am I right? Awesome. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Yes. Yes, that's a great answer. What is your name? Gayatri. Thank you so much. So she says, Gayatri says, in a corporate, you are, can you say the first part for me, please, again? Right. Yeah. So you are one of the 10, which means there could be multiple of you. In a startup, you are the one person. But with great power also comes great responsibility, comes performance, right? Comes a lot of things that you will be answerable for. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think Uday had something to say. Great. Thank you. That's amazing. Yes. It's about what you can give to the company, right? That's what you wanted to say. Yes. Amazing. What is your name? Please share. Devi Prasad. Thank you so much. He says in corporate you become part of a culture. In startup you actually form the culture, right? Great. That's great insights. Any more thoughts? Yes. Right. Yes, yes, thank you. So it's your capabilities, and Vesha says it's your capabilities, what you think you can do best, and then take the decision of whether you want to join a startup or a corporate? Yes, please. Thank you, Satvik. Very interesting question. He's given me 2 more minutes to speak. I love this question. Um, there's hard work everywhere, guys. Both options have hard work. Okay. Um, s- will you go to a startup because they're paying you high? See, if salary is the only motivation, I don't think we should be even having this session. It's about what you want to do. Like Anvesha said, like the lady there said, that it is about what you think you can give back to the company because you're providing them a service, you're providing them some expertise. It's about what you want to learn, it's about how you want to grow. You're definitely going to grow, learn in both the ways, in both the options. But how fast or how slow do you want that to happen is what a call that you need to take. I would again repeat myself by saying that if salary is the only motivation, that's not the right way of looking at it. Okay, so especially at such a young age, definitely look at what you will give and what you will get back. One more thought question. Actually, the question and answer were next, but we can take the questions now. Yes, yes, please. Great question. What is your name? Thank you so much, Aditi. Are you specifically talking about starting a startup or are you talking about joining also? Both, both. Great. Great question. What are the metrics that you would measure for a startup, right? First of all, how much is the funding? What does funding mean? Do we know what funding means? The amount of funds or the runway that you have when you're running a company, right? When you're building that company, because you're wanting to do new things fast, which means you'll obviously need a lot of resources, but you can't have too many resources. You have to spend your money wisely. One of the first things is how much funding do they have, because that's your runway. If you are starting your own company, then what will you do once you are done being bootstrapped? That's the question to answer. So once you exhaust your own funds that you put in the company, how will you raise more funds? Do you have a plan for that? That will be a key factor. Another important factor is, like I said, Aditi, the culture. The culture is very important because it has to resonate with you. There's no point joining a workplace which doesn't keep you happy, which you don't feel happy about, right? Like maybe I could have gone to Uber at that time, but it was very toxic. I could have gone to any other place, but I actually, so just to give you how what kind of study I did, right? I'll give an example or share my story. When COVID happened, I took about a 6 months break, and I said I will think about it, see what new I can do. I started researching on startups. Loop was one of the startups where I resonated with the cause. The cause is to add 20 years to an Indian's life, to provide such good healthcare that you add 20 years to an Indian's life, right? Today, the average age of mortality in India is 67 years. Japan is 20 years more than that because they do things differently. So, how do you improvise healthcare? And that comes from a very personal space for me because my mother was diagnosed with cancer in 2019, and I felt like I had very little that I could do. So that's how I resonated with it, then started researching. There were a couple of startups that I was actually looking at, but this one I deeply felt about because when you deeply feel about a certain objective, you work towards this harder than what you would normally do. So those are the few points, Aditi. Thank you. Yes, I'll go here first then. Great question, Manju. Please have a seat. Have a seat. Uh, See, when you switch companies, because when you move out of this institution, you are going to be very impressionable, right? Your learning is going to be immense. It's going to be that culture of the company is going to be like a stamp on your persona. Like for me, it was with Taj or Tata Hotels, Tata Group of companies. When you move companies, you have to unlearn a lot and then learn again. You can't be going to the next company and saying, no, this is how I did it in the other organization. You have to adapt to their own ways as well. There are a lot of changes that you have to make in yourself as per the culture of the next company. And I'm not saying give up your own identity, but definitely with the way you work, the way you do things, a lot of different things that you'll get to learn. Yeah. Sorry, please go ahead. What is your name? Tanish. Thank you so much for that question. And it's great that you completed two internships. Please have a seat. Have a seat. Uh, Very real life question that Tanish asked, right? One is he worked in a company where the culture was great. He reported directly to the CEO. Second is he reported to the HR and then the CEO, but the company was both of them were micromanaging him, which means every minute asking what is to be done, etc. His question is, which is more productive? Tanish, you don't have time in a startup. You should not have time in a startup to micromanage because otherwise you're just replicating roles, right? That's duplication of effort. There's very, very less time in startups to do everything. You have to work at minimum 2x the speed. So the answer is no. In fact, even in corporations, there should not be micromanagement because that creates toxicity. But in startups, you don't have the luxury of time.
Due, due to the paucity of time, this was our last question.
Just
N-
one last message, if I may.
Okay.
The person in the screen, on the screen, is alone, right? Now, all of you are peers. You all have friends who you've become close, you hang out with, etc. But while making this career this decision, one important decision when you graduate from here, I would genuinely give you the advice of not being led by peer pressure. This is a decision that you want to individually take for yourself, right? Which is why these metrics were shown to you today, and we want you to think about this for till you graduate. This Today you'll have 10 people with you, friends. 2 years once you're into your job, maybe four people. Then you might maybe just have one close friend, and you might meet once in 6 months or maybe once in a year. So that's really not going to affect your life. Just because my friend is joining a startup, don't join a startup. Because my friend is joining a corporation, don't join a corporation, right? Thank you so much for that. Thank you everyone for participating. Sorry, sir. Thank you.
Now I humbly invite our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sri Balaji University Pune, Professor Dr. G.K. Shirude sir, to present the memento to our Miss Pooja Gawas ma'am.
May I now call upon stage student manager Sneha Joshi to propose a vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I, Sneha Joshi, student manager from Balaji Institute of Modern Management at Sri Balaji University, Pune, extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Pooja Gawas ma'am for gracing us with her presence and delivering such a knowledgeable session. In this session, we have learned about differences in culture and structure between startups and corporate and how to choose a career between the two. We also learned about the significances of chaos in startups as well. Ma'am, ma'am, I would like to thank you for informative and captivating session. Your ability to connect with the audience was truly impressive. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the leadership and management of Sri Balaji University Pune for the support and encouragement throughout our induction program. Lastly, I would like to extend gratitude to our fellow student managers for being an amazing audience. Thank you.
We are glad to announce that we are celebrating the 24th Foundation Day of Balaji Institute of Technology and Management BITM. I would like I would like to invite Deputy Director BITM Dr. Rajeshwari Patil ma'am to say a few words.
Thank you so much. So, from a small building near the railway station in Pune to one of Pune's leading business school, our journey has been powered by discipline, dedication, and determination. Good evening, everybody. Respected Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Dr. G.K. Shirude Sir, our Director BITM, Dr. Sanjeet Kumar Das, our Registrar Sir, Akshay Sir, our dignitaries on the dais, Deputy Directors, and my dear faculty members and the student managers. So, we are here to celebrate something very significant, the 24th Foundation Day of BITM, a journey that began in 2002 when we were then known as ICTM, working out of a modest space near the railway station. From there, we evolved into Balaji Institute of Telecom and Management. And today, we proudly stand as Balaji Institute of Technology and Management, helping the helping to shape the future leaders. Much has changed over the years, but what has remained unwavering is the foundation that was laid by our founder and chancellor, Dr. Colonel A. Balabsubramaniam sir, fondly as we call him Bala sir. He has built these institutions on the three Ds: discipline, dedication, and determination. And these values we continue to live every day. Our Chancellor, Professor Paramanandan Balasubramaniam sir, continues the vision of our beloved founder. He reminds us that education is not just about building skills, it is about building a strong, grounded individual. His leadership inspires us to stay focused, to stay real, and always be ready for the outside world. With the blessings and guidance of our Chancellor, Sir, Dr. G.K. Shirude, Sir, our Deans, Dr. Dimple Saini, Ma'am, and Dr. Piju Pillai, Sir, we continue to aim and strive to turn our dreams into realities. So, as we celebrate how far we have come, let's look ahead with excitement, with hope, and with a purpose. Because BITM isn't just a college, it's a community, a family, and a launchpad of dreams. A very happy Foundation Day to all of you. Thank you.
I now request Director BITM Dr. Sanjeet Kumar Das sir to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. Respected Founder Chancellor Bala sir, Honorable Chancellor Anand sir, respected Vice Chancellor Sir Dr. G.K. Sirude sir, our Honorable Registrar Dr. S.B. Agase sir, then Dr. Rasmi Mahajan ma'am, Deputy Director BIIB, and the host of this event, and Dr. Dhanraj Tambuskar sir, Deputy Head of Academics, all and Vikas sir, Rajeshwari ma'am, all the esteemed faculty, my dear students, and we are very happy to have Ms. Pooja Gawas ma'am as the guest of this evening. Ma'am, thank you very much for gracefully accepted our invitation. Thank you so much. So today is a great day. We took birth uh, on 29th of June 2002. So we are 23 years completed. So this is 24th Foundation Day. We are gathered here to celebrate this is 24th Foundation Day of Biologist of Technology and Management. So when BITM start, as Rajeshri ma'am already said about the ICTM, we started with Indian Center for Telecom and Management. So this is written by Bala sir, and you can see the signature of Bala sir that ICTM means growth, ICM means great corporate career, ICTM means victory, ICTM means growth and great corporate career. And so this is led by Bala sir. The institution stands as a beacon of three Ds: discipline, dedication, and determination. And a few days before, our Honorable Chancellor sir has coined 3C, that is very, very important, that is commitment, competency, and character. Over the years, it has nurtured thousands of minds and saved countless futures. Our commitment to excellence in education continues to drive us forward. We honor the vision of our founder and the guidance of our Honorable Chancellor Sir and respected Vice Chancellor Sir, and like all the esteemed dignitaries on and off the dais, let us take this pride in our achievement and strive for even greater heights. May the legacy of learning and leadership flourish with every passing year. Together, we shall continue to build a brighter, smarter tomorrow. BITM, or rather we can say SBUP, if you ask what is the mission of SBUP or BITM, it is stand up to the expectation of the student, stand up to the expectation of their parents, and stand up to the expectation of the corporate. So that is our motto. Wishing everyone a proud and joyful Foundation Day celebration. God bless you. Thank you so much. And I'll fail in my duty to mention thanks to Rasmi ma'am for coordinating a great event and supporting us. And the best part, like today is the foundation day of BITM, one of the constituent college of SBUP, but all our students are here. As per our chancellor sir and vice chancellor sir, sir said no, we are one, and that shows that the MOC and all the coordinators of today's event are the students of BITM. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Now I invite Dr. S.B. Akse, Registrar, Sri Balaji University, Pune, to say a few words.
गुड इवनिंग गुड इवनिंग सबको बोर हो रहा था इसलिए मैं आई थॉट आई कैन अवेक मेक यू अवेक anyway I will not take much of your time. I will just wish the happy birthday to VITM and very very productive year ahead for you all students of SBUP. Thank you.
We don't want to stress you more. I understand your socio-psychomotor. देश बदल रहा है, जमाना भी बदल रहा है, हमें भी बदलना चाहिए. Considering this, the Bala sir, a great founder, a edupreneur, he has established one institution after the another institution. And why this has happened? It is only because of requirements of the companies, organizations which have changed. And only one thing which is going to be a permanent in this world, and that is going to be a change. So if you change in time, you will be always ahead. And this is the philosophy which Bala sir has followed even in the earlier decades. And I have seen this particular growth from zero to this particular point. I am very proud that this growth is possible only because of student managers. You had a long faith on this institution. The companies, those who were continuously attached with us for getting a best of the best young minds, young energetic students for their own organization. And the final credit goes to my teaching staff, non-teaching staff. So I congratulate each and everybody for this particular, the horizontal as well as vertical growth of Sri Balaji University Pune, particularly BITM. We are in this particular mahol. This is the BITM, matlab B building. Now, Sanjeet and Dr. Das, मुझे ऐसा लगा था कि आप तो गाना गाओगे, कुछ तो पेश करेंगे, अभी नहीं, बाद में. My special thanks to Pooja also, spending your valuable time, and you have seen how the Balajians are sitting here. So it is also your responsibility that you have seen and present at the time of the 24th Foundation Day of BITM. Therefore, in new startup or in any corporate, don't forget my Balajians. They are the nation builders in coming future. So with these few words, अरे केक वगैरह कुछ नहीं है. और सर मैं कहाँ देखूं केक को? जल्दी लाओ. So I, on behalf of His Excellency, the Chancellor, Professor B. Paramanandan, we wish you a very happy Foundation Day. And it is not a day one progress, but decades together we will march ahead with this particular change. Thank you very much. By the way, I also take this opportunity. Is anybody is having a birthday today? Anybody is having birthday today and even tomorrow? अरे जिसका होगा वो ही आना है, बट बर्थडे एडजस्ट नहीं करने का. चलो आ जाइए, कम फास्ट.
बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए, बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए. तू जिए हजारों साल ये तेरी है यार तू. हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू. बार बार दिन ये आए, बार बार दिल ये गाए. तू जिए हजारों साल ये तेरी है यार तू. हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू aha. Happy birthday to you. बेकरार हो के दामन थाम लूं मैं किसका, बेकरार हो के दामन थाम लूं मैं किसका, क्या मिसाल तो मैं तेरी नाम लूं मैं किसका। नहीं नहीं ऐसा हंसी भी नहीं है, ये नजर रुक जाए बेमिसाल जो कहलाए, तू जिए हजारों साल ये मेरी है आरज़ू। हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू, आहा हैप्पी बर्थडे टू यू। औरों की तरह कुछ मैं भी तोहफा आज लाता, औरों की तरह कुछ मैं भी तोहफा आज लाता, मैं तेरी हंसी महफिल में फूल लेके आता।
Okay, we don't know whether you all be getting cakes, right? But we have arranged samosas and gulab jamun for all of you on BITM ceremonial steps. So enjoy and celebrate the Foundation Day of Balaji Institute of Technology and Management.
मैंने आगे वाले लेने था पीछे वाले अरे सर अभिनंदन तुमचं पण थँक्यू तुम्ही पण VIT मध्ये आहात यस 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 ये क्या कर रहे हैं एक लगा रहे थे क्या